You're listening to Radio NYC.
Hello, this is Commissioner Jimenez from the Mayor's Office to Combat Domestic Violence. People with disabilities are more likely to experience violence at the hands of an intimate partner. New Yorkers with disabilities should not feel alone. Support is available. In New York City, all victims of domestic violence, regardless of their language, immigration status, or disabilities, are offered services to help them regain control over their lives. If you or someone you know is being abused, please call 311 for help.
Hi, this is Dr. Tom Farley, New York City's Health Commissioner. One thing that all New Yorkers can do for their health is to know their HIV status. If you've had sex even once, you should get tested for HIV. If you're HIV positive, you can get medical care to help you feel better and live longer. If you're HIV negative, you can stay that way. Your regular healthcare provider can give you an HIV test. Free HIV tests are also available at health department clinics in all 5 boroughs. For clinic locations and hours, call 311 or visit nyc.gov.
Hi, I'm Adrienne Bailon. Having an official ID is one of the keys to success. Want to open a bank account, apply for a job, register for college soon? You'll need an official ID to do any of these things. Don't drive? Don't worry. You can get a non-driver state ID, and it only costs about $10. But in order to get an ID, there are a few things you'll need, and we're here to help. Go to nyc.gov and click on or search ID to get started.
This is Mayor Mike Bloomberg. Remember to dial 311 for all New York City government services and information.
Hola, me llamo Ana y trabajo en el Departamento de Asuntos al Consumidor. A veces puede ser abrumador para administrar su dinero, pero los centros de poder financieros de la ciudad pueden ayudarle a tomar control brindándole asesoramiento financiero profesional, gratuito e individual, ofrecido en toda la ciudad en diferentes idiomas. Nuestros consejeros pueden ayudar a reducir su deuda, preparar un presupuesto, abrir una cuenta bancaria segura y mucho más. Visite nyc.gov para encontrar el centro más cercano o llame al 311 para pedir una cita ya.
I'm Fatima Sharma, Commissioner of the New York City Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs. New York City is home to people from more than 190 countries. They're our neighbors and co-workers and an essential part of the fabric that makes us the greatest city in the world. My office helps immigrants make New York City their home. In the wake of Hurricane Sandy, we continue to work to make sure that immigrant communities affected by the storm have access to services that will help them recover and rebuild their lives. To learn more, visit nyc.gov or contact 311.
You're listening to Radio NYC.
Brooklyn Bridge Park keeps getting better. Hi, I'm Regina Meyer, president of Brooklyn Bridge Park, and we're thrilled to welcome visitors to the brand new Pier 5. Come play on our 5-acre sports field, barbecue on grills at the Picnic Peninsula, or take in the breathtaking views of Lower Manhattan from the promenade. There's more to come later this year when the Pier 2 sports courts make their debut. Check out brooklynbridgepark.org or call 311 for further information. Can't wait to see you at the park.
Hola, yo soy Adrienne Bailon. Tener una identificación oficial puede ser clave para tu éxito. ¿Quieres abrir una cuenta bancaria? ¿Solicitar un trabajo? Vas a necesitar una identificación oficial para hacer cualquiera de estas cosas. Puedes conseguir una identificación estatal para no conductores y solo cuesta $10. Pero para conseguir una identificación hay unas cosas que vas a necesitar. Visite nyc.gov y busque ID para empezar.
I'm Rob Walsh, Commissioner of Small Business Services.
And I'm Terrence Holliday, Commissioner of the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs. Our veterans served our country, and we are proud to serve them.
If you're a veteran or a veteran spouse looking for a job, stop by the Workforce One Veterans Center at 60 Madison Avenue in Manhattan, or at any of the 15 centers in all 5 boroughs. We work with businesses committed to hiring veterans, which means we have jobs for you. For more information, call 311 or visit nyc.gov.
This is Mayor Mike Bloomberg. Remember to dial 311 for all New York City government services and information.
Home is the one place we all expect to be safe, but each day over 1,000 New Yorkers report an incident of domestic violence. Hello, I'm Commissioner Yolanda Jimenez of the Mayor's Office to Combat Domestic Violence. Victims and their children don't have to suffer in silence. If you or someone you know is a victim of family violence, help is available 24 hours a day in all languages by calling 311 and asking for the New York City Domestic Violence Hotline. In emergencies, call 911.
Hello, I'm Taxi and Limousine Commissioner David Yaski. Did you know that New York City taxicabs are required by law to take passengers anywhere in the 5 boroughs, or to Westchester or Nassau County, or to Newark Airport? In fact, a driver can't even ask where you're going before they accept the trip. So if a taxi driver refuses to serve you, call 311 or visit nyc.gov with the license or medallion number. With your help, the TLC is here to make sure you get where you need to go.
Hi, I'm Rob Walsh, Commissioner of the Department of Small Business Services. Figuring out what permits and licenses are needed in order to start and expand a business in New York City can be a challenging task. That's why we created New York City Business Express. It's a free one-stop website where business owners can access the information they need to open up shop. You can apply online for many permits, settle outstanding fines, and find incentives to lower the cost of doing business. Visit nyc.gov or call 311 and ask for NYC Business Express.
This is Mayor Mike Bloomberg. Remember to dial 311 for all New York City government services and information.
Soy Iris Jiménez Hernández, vicepresidenta de HHC, su sistema de hospitales públicos. Este Día de las Madres, dele a su mamá el mejor regalo, una cita para una mamografía. En HHC ofrecemos mamografías a muy bajo costo o sin costo durante todo el año. Visite nuestro sitio web o marque el 311 para el hospital público más cercano.
Hi, this is New York City Transportation Commissioner Jeanette Sadekhan. For most New Yorkers, our 6,000 miles of streets are our front yards, so we're doing everything we can to make them as safe, attractive, and as sustainable as they can be. By keeping our roads and bridges in good repair, building new public plazas and bike lanes, we're creating world-class streets for a world-class city. Please help us keep our streets safe and smooth by calling 311 to report potholes and other traffic concerns in your neighborhood.
This is Carter Strickland, Environmental Protection Commissioner for New York City. Every day, 9 million New Yorkers rely on DEP to deliver 1 billion gallons of the world's best drinking water to their homes and businesses. Renowned for its purity and taste, our tap water comes by gravity from the Catskills, 125 miles away, making it the right choice for your health and the environment. Look for our New York City water-on-the-go fountains throughout the 5 boroughs and learn more about New York City's water supply at nyc.gov. New York City Water, the right choice for the environment, your health, and your wallet. This is Carter Strickland, Environmental Protection Commissioner for New York City. Our restaurant scene is one of the best in the world, serving millions of New Yorkers and tourists every year. If you run a restaurant or food service business, remember to properly empty your grease traps. Pouring grease down the drain or into a city catch basin is illegal and can cause significant costly sewer backups. For a description of grease regulations and information regarding proper disposal methods, visit nyc.gov.
You're listening to Radio NYC.
What better way to get some outdoor exercise than rolling up your sleeves and helping care for Brooklyn's Prospect Park? Hi, I'm Emily Lloyd, president of the Prospect Park Alliance. Volunteering at Prospect Park offers many exciting ways to make a difference in the lives of all who benefit from the park. Individuals, families, students, and retirees can all have fun and learn something while helping the park. We provide the training and equipment. You decide how much time you can spare. For more information, call 311 or go online to nyc.gov, and I hope I'll see you soon in beautiful Prospect Park.
Hi, this is Sanitation Commissioner John Doherty. Please use street litter baskets for your candy wrappers, fast food containers, empty coffee cups, for everything except recyclables. Remember, never use litter baskets for garbage from your home or business. That's not what they are there for. Above all, don't litter. For more information on how you can help keep New York City clean, call 311. Let's work together to keep our streets clean.
Hi, this is Vincent Schiraldi, Commissioner at the New York City Department of Probation. Did you know that state law prohibits unfair discrimination against job applicants with a criminal conviction? Did you also know that the city has taken special steps to ensure that job applicants with a criminal conviction are treated fairly? It's true. For example, there are many job postings where city agencies are prohibited from asking about an applicant's criminal history before or during the first interview. So don't let your past define your future. Consider applying for a job with the city or one of our hundreds of partners. To find out more about what this change in policy means for you, visit nyc.gov.
Hi, I'm Rob Walsh, Commissioner of Small Business Services. If your small business was impacted by Hurricane Sandy, the city is ready to help. We have an emergency loan providing up to $25,000. We can also help businesses apply for federal assistance to up to $2 million. And there are other ways we can help. If your business has been displaced, we can set up free temporary space. And we could also assist in answering insurance questions or replace permits lost during the storm. For more information, go to nyc.gov, call 311, or visit a business solutions center located in any of the 5 boroughs.
This is Mayor Mike Bloomberg. Remember to dial 311 for all New York City government services and information.
Hi, I'm Seth Diamond, Commissioner of New York City's Department of Homeless Services. Homeless Services can connect you or someone you know who is at risk of homelessness to the DHS Home-Based Program, our one-stop for homelessness prevention, or one of our free law offices. We have over 30 service centers located in the 5 boroughs. To learn more about community-based prevention services that can help New Yorkers prevent eviction and avoid shelter, call 311 or visit nyc.gov.
Hi, I'm Deputy Mayor Carol Robles-Roman. New York City is the safest big city in the nation, and we're leading a fight against human trafficking, a terrible crime where people can be forced or tricked into working in harsh conditions, often for no pay. If you are a victim or know someone who is, call 911. For more information, call 311 or go to www.nyc.gov. Let's call an end to human trafficking.
This is Sanitation Commissioner John Doherty, reminding you to leash and pick up after your dog. Be considerate to your fellow New Yorkers when walking your dog in the street or in a park. Obey the Pooper Scooper law and avoid a $250 fine. If we all do our part, we can keep New York City clean. Remember, be a responsible pet owner and always pick up after your dog.
I'm Kate Levin, Commissioner of the Department of Cultural Affairs. New York City is the creative capital of the world. Throughout the 5 boroughs, residents and visitors benefit from an extraordinary cultural community that includes more than 700 theater and dance companies, 650 galleries and museums, 96 orchestras, 24 performing arts centers, 5 zoos, 4 botanic gardens, and 1 aquarium. So take in an exhibition, see a performance, or visit a historic site. There's something for everyone, and it's all just around the corner.
You're listening to Radio NYC.
Hello, this is Commissioner Jimenez from the Mayor's Office to Combat Domestic Violence.
Thank you. Al, how are you? Nice to see you. All right, Phil, okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is the part of the democratic process where City Council passes bills and the mayor holds a hearing and then the mayor decides whether to sign it or not. Most people think it's pro forma, but I've actually been known to, after listening to people testify, change my mind and say I want to think about it some more. Although I think every time after thinking about it and talking to my staff, I've come back and agreed. Sometimes, one time I even did it with a bill that the administration asked the City Council to pass. This, I'm told, after the 21 bills today, will be 808, 22, I didn't want to forget the last one. After 22 bills, there will be 883 bills that I signed. And how many did I veto? 68. And how many of those vetoes were sustained? 1? Oh, so the vetoes. So there were 3 that we actually vetoed, and it didn't go into law. But anyways, the point here is that, and I've said this 1,000 times, let me say it one more time. I happen to think that democracy in New York City is functions better than at a federal level and in most states. I won't comment on which states. But here, the city council people actually read the bills. There's none of this stuff in the middle of the night. They're given a bill to sign, told to sign it by party leaders, and they don't even get a chance to read it. Here, every city council person has ample opportunity to read the bills. The city council holds hearings on all of them. Those hearings tend to be, not all the time, but tend to be substantive. And, no, that's right. That's a lot better than anybody else does at any other level of government. And a lot of it is because of Chris Quinn, who I've always said really led this city council in the direction of a better type of democracy. We typically, I read a little description of the bill. We ask the commissioners that are appropriate to comment if they would like. Ask city council members to comment if they would like. Open it up to the public. Given that we have 22 bills and lots of interest, we try to keep the comments as short as possible. We actually have a time clock because otherwise I have a breakfast tomorrow morning which I'd like to make. But I've been doing this now for 12 years, and I will say that once again, I think this city has been very well served in the process. You might not like all the laws that are passed, but that's not the issue that we're talking about. We're talking about how we go about governing, and I think this administration and the city council together have every reason to be proud of what we've done in the last 12 years. So let me start. I'll try to read as fast as I can. If I mispronounce names, I've never done that before. First of 22 bills before us today is introductory number 1060-A. Do not ask how these bills are numbered. For 12 years, I've tried to get an explanation, cannot. Sponsored in conjunction with our administration by council members Fiddler, James, Gentili, Brewer, King, Koslowitz, Lando, Levin, Van, Drom, Ferraris, Gonzalez, Mendez, Richards, Rivera, Van Bremer, Chin, Nelson, Garodnik, Gennaro, Rodriguez, Kuh, Vallone, Capel, and Lappin. This legislation requires the Sanitation Commissioner, who's with us here today, John Doherty, to determine the recyclability of expanded polystyrene, commonly known as EPS foam, within the city's existing infrastructure, leading to potential ban of EPS foam material in food service establishments and retail stores beginning in 2015. During our administration, the city has made aggressive efforts to designate as many items as possible as recyclable, with the goal of reducing our overall sanitation costs, sending less tonnage to landfills, and to be a leading example in environmental stewardship. Currently, the use of EPS foam in the city challenges our ability to meet these goals. EPS foam is a wasteful and environmentally harmful product that does not biodegrade and currently cannot be recycled. It contaminates the city's metal, glass, and plastics recyclable stream and decreases the value of the city's recyclables. In addition, the contamination of EPS foam in the food waste stream is a major hurdle in the city's ability to conduct organic recycling at the household and business level. EPS foam is a major source of litter, where it often breaks into small pieces, littering our streets, waterways, catch basins, and neighborhood sidewalks. EPS foam also costs the city money. The city must pay $1.8 million annually to have its landfill, where it can sit for more than 500 years. Introductory number 1060A allows for the Sanitation Commissioner to determine whether foam can be recyclable by January 1st, 2015. If the Commissioner determines that foam is sortable and can be recycled in a way that is environmentally effective and economically feasible, then the Commissioner will adapt and implement rules designating EPS foam products as recyclable material and require the source separation of such expanded polystyrene for departmental managed recycling. If the Commissioner determines that EPS foam is not recyclable, then beginning July 1st, 2015, no business may sell or offer for use a single-service EPS foam product. This ban will not apply to prepackaged food that has been filled and sealed prior to receipt by the food service establishment or store, and will not apply to any EPS foam containers used to store raw food. The legislation includes a number of components that will assist businesses in the event EPS foam is banned. Nonprofits and small businesses may apply for a hardship exemption in the event that alternatives to EPS foam products are more expensive and pose a financial hardship. In addition, a first warning rather than a fine will be issued within the first year of the ban. The city will also provide outreach and education to food service establishments and stores about the ban and provide assistance with identifying replacement material. And I would like to thank Deputy Mayor Kaz Holloway, Sanitation Commissioner John Doherty, and Deputy Commissioner Ron Gonen, Health Commissioner Don Thomas Farley, and Consumer Affairs Commissioner Jonathan Mintz and their staffs who worked on this bill, along with Reggie Thomas from my Office of City Legislative Affairs. And I'd like to thank Councilmember Lou Fidler and his Council Brad Reed for their advocacy on this legislation, as well as Speaker Quinn and the City Council for approving this legislation. So now let me turn it over first to people up here who'd like to speak. Commissioner, you want to say something?
Speak at the next bill.
At the next bill, okay. Anybody else?
Lou Fidler first.
Lou Fidler is here. I said nice things about you.
Yeah, you heard that.
And as Henry Kissinger would say, they had the added advantage of being true.
Wow, that's very nice. I'll try and do my best to reciprocate, and I think I will. You know, Mr. Mayor, when I was growing up in the 60s, there was a song I kind of liked by a band called Zager and Evans. And it posed the question in the year 2525, if man is still alive, what will we find?
They play it on SX again and again and again.
All right, not so bad. And, you know, we could have written another verse to that. You know, in 2525, man would find cockroaches still walking the earth with impunity, to the unhappiness of Met fans everywhere. The 437th Yankee championship flag would be flying. And the styrofoam cup that someone used this morning for their morning coffee would still be in a landfill someplace, not biodegrading, or in the water someplace, contaminating our water supplies. But we're going to change that today with your signature, one way or another. Either it will be proven to be recyclable, which they haven't been able to show since Zager and Evans first wrote the song, 1960-something, and then we will all win because it's recyclable. Or it will be banned, and we won't have those morning cups of coffee in styrofoam anymore, and they won't be contaminating our environment or our recycling stream, costing taxpayers money, and even worse, hurting Mother Earth. There are so many people to thank here. You mentioned some of them, and I want to add my thanks to Commissioner Doherty and his staff, Ron Gonen in particular, Reggie Thomas, to my speaker, to my council colleagues who passed this bill unanimously after a great deal of debate and discussion, to Rob Newman, Laura Poper, and Jared Hova from the council staff. But I need to single somebody out, and you actually mentioned it. And with your indulgence, I'm going to ask Brad Reed to come up here and join us because he is as responsible for our being here today as anybody. They spent $1 million trying to beat this bill over 10 months. $1 million. This man was worth more than that $1 million. When they came in and told us all that Los Angeles recycled styrofoam, he was the guy who called Los Angeles. When they gave us a list of 157, municipalities that allegedly recycled styrofoam, he called them all and got to the truth to find out that they really don't. Okay, when they told us that they had plants that recycled styrofoam, he's the one who found out that there was a difference between clean and dirty styrofoam, and they weren't telling us that dirty little secret. So, frankly, Brad, you are as entitled to be up here as anybody. You have helped us make this change. I know with the mayor's signature today, we are doing something great for the environment, for the future, for our children, and I, of course, thank you in advance for signing this bill.
Anybody else? Would anybody in the audience like to say anything? Yes, sir. Just identify yourself when you get up here, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor. Eric Goldstein from the Natural Resources Defense Council. On behalf of all of us at Natural Resources Defense Council, we're delighted to see this bill passed, and we are delighted equally that you are about to sign it. As you know, over 100 communities around the United States have enacted legislation that would phase out polystyrene foam food and beverage containers, but when New York City takes action, everyone else takes notice. You've identified all the economic and environmental reasons why this makes sense. We want to thank Speaker Quinn, Councilmember Fidler, Commissioner Doherty, Cass Holloway, Ron Gonen, and everyone else on the appropriate teams for their work. Again, we're delighted that you're signing this, and we thank you very much.
Anybody else? If not, I will sign the bill.
So I'll hold on to this. The rest of them are gone. Jamie wanted to
The second bill before us today is introductory number 1162A, sponsored at the request of our administration by Council members James Brewer, Chin, Fidler, Gentili, Koo, Rodriguez, Van Bremer, Mark Viverito, Gennaro, Capel, Lappin, and Ulrich. This legislation regulates commercial organic waste in the city. Of the 35,000 tons of waste New York City sees every day, think about that, 35,000 tons of waste. 30% of it is made up of organic waste, such as food scraps. Although this waste can be composted, it is often either landfilled or incinerated. One of the greatest challenges to more widespread composting is the lack of composting capacity in the city. In order to spur this development, composting operators would need a steady and reliable stream of organic material from commercial establishments in New York. One possible way to increase demand for this material is to require commercial establishments to separate their organic material. This legislation requires restaurants and other food service establishments of a certain size or number within the city and other commercial operations that generic significant food waste to separate their organic waste by July 1st, 2015. Examples of entities that would be required to do this include, but are not limited to, stadiums, chain food service restaurants, catering establishments, and supermarkets. The Commissioner of Sanitation, Department of Sanitation, it will be required to evaluate the capacity of facilities within 100 miles of our city that compost or process organic waste. If the Commissioner determines that there is sufficient capacity at a cost that is competitive with regular waste collection, the Commissioner will designate establishments that will be required to separate this material whose total organic tonnage is commensurate with the estimated capacity. To assist businesses with this conversion, during the first year, a warning will be issued instead of a first fine for failure to comply, and I would like to thank Sanitation Commissioner John Doherty and Office of Long-Term Planning and Sustainability Commissioner Sergei Manovsky and their staff for their work on this bill, along with my Office of Legislative Affairs. Also like to thank the City Council for this legislation. First up is our Sanitation Commissioner. John?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say these two bills that the Mayor is going to, second one he's going to sign now, are really landmark bills for the city when you think about solid waste management in this city, or any large city, or any city for that matter in this nation, even around the world. The ability to reduce the amount of waste we have through recycling or eliminating really makes a difference. In the long run, in any large city today, getting rid of solid waste by either burying it or burning it, but particularly burying it, is going to cost a lot of money. It's going to be very expensive. So when we have bills like this passed, we're really looking at the future, and we're looking at the economics of handling waste in this city and every large city. And I want to thank the Mayor and everybody that's been involved in this, particularly Ron Gonen, Deputy Commissioner for Sanitation, who's been very involved with this, and he was the person that was really pushing it from the sanitation side of the city's effort. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, how many years have you been a Sanitation Commissioner? 12 with us, and before that?
16.
So, total of 16.
Total of 16.
Total of 16 years. Is there anybody that has remotely served as long?
Not yet.
Not yet. Oh, we always have down the road.
25.
City Council members, anybody like to add anything?
Yeah, I just want to not only thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Identify yourself.
My name is Jim Gennaro.
Everybody knows Jim.
Yeah, but I just want to thank John for his more than 50 years of service to the city, and I think this should be recognized in a special way today. And so I just want to thank you.
You should know that John Doherty is one of the few commissioners. He's had every single rank in his agency from the bottom to the top, and he's had the top job twice. Commissioner Kelly can say exactly the same thing. Former Parks Commissioner Benepe apparently jumped one level one time, thereby destroying an otherwise perfect record. Is there anybody else, Hader, that's been there for all that time? Everything on the way up? I don't think so. Anybody in the audience like to add anything? Sir.
Goldstein from the Natural Resources Defense Council. NRDC supports as well this legislation. It's transformative. It will solve the chicken and egg syndrome in terms of getting facilities available to take our food wastes and yard wastes. It'll save the city money over the long term. We want to thank you, Mr. Mayor, as well as Speaker Quinn, Councilmember Gennaro, Councilmember James, as well as, of course, Cass Holloway and Carter Strickland, DEP Commissioner, for all of their work on this bill, as well as, of course, Commissioner Doherty and Ron Gonen and their staffs. It's the perfect opportunity for us to say a more general thank you to you for the work you have done to keep the air clean and keep the water clean, and your efforts to advance sustainability over the past 12 years have been historic, and all New Yorkers owe you a debt of thanks, and we thank you for that.
Thank you. I will say that Carter Strickland has really done a great job recently. He followed Cass Holloway, and Carter waved to the crowd. All of the environmental stuff, the payoff isn't for years, but it's what makes the city habitable and keeps us safe. And one of the reasons why life expectancy keeps growing up in the city, a lot of things you don't realize what they do that really impacts the infrastructure of this city, the air we breathe, the water we drink, how we get around, what's good for us and what's not so good for us. With that, I will sign the bill.
I don't think I was saying to my bill. There's a lot.
My plan is not that the plan.
That's God got you. I got you.
Take me. Let you do you. Let's say you want to make our left to your plans. Mr. Mayor, got 12 members of my family here. My bill is way at the end of the agenda.
Okay, you want to get them ready and we'll take a picture?
Could I say a couple of
That's
words?
okay. Has a little stick
Right
that keeps it in place.
Thank you.
We have a scheduling issue, so Alvan's going to say a few words. I have no idea what he's going to say. But he's always glared at me and wanted to pound me on the top of the head, so I've always said, yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I really appreciate your generosity. I have a large family that's here with me today. This is the end of my political career, finishing 38 years in elected office. And this is the last day I'll be in City Hall as a councilman. And it just so happens that a very important bill that I passed, will be signed by the mayor. And I appreciate the opportunity because my family has other commitments. In fact, as I say these few words, feel free to come up. In fact, come up, grandkids. All right. I want you to see my family. And daughters and wife. I have, with the help of Dottie LeBron of my staff and Tanisha Edwards of Finance, we have crafted legislation that has really reformed the lien law, the lien sales law. At one point, a number of people who are unable to pay their property taxes on time and for a long period of time were not able to keep up with their property taxes, and they were going through the lien sale process. And many of them would lose their homes because they were not able and could not afford to pay up the taxes and stay current. But we came with legislation that made it easier for them, more affordable for them, and so we have been able over time for people, New Yorkers, to save thousands of homes that would have been lost. And just as leaving, we realized there was one group of people that the legislation did not cover. Those homeowners who died and do not leave a will, and so their legal heir was not able to become a part of this process without going through a lengthy, timely, and expensive court process. So we have legislation that makes it now easier and more affordable for that particular group of people who are the legal heirs, may be paying the property taxes, may even be living in that property, will now be able to join that process and be able to save their homes and pay up the lien sale process. So I'm very happy about that. I will not be here when you sign it, but the mayor's an honorable man. I know I won't be here, but the bill will be signed, and I thank you in advance for that, Mr. Mayor, and for the opportunity to say a few words.
It depends in case somebody comes up with some other things.
Nobody's coming up. I got one more day in power.
No, I just wanted to say it's been a lot of fun to work with you, and I respect you, and you've been in government a lot longer than I have, but you have a lot to be proud of.
Thank you.
All of that. Do they all want to leave, or you want to stay, Al? Yeah, do it now if you're going to leave. People standing want to go fill in seats. Just do it as you wish, just quietly. The next bill before us today is introductory number 1210A, sponsored by Council members Gennaro, Quinn, Arroyo, Greenfield, Vaca, Koo, Capel, Richards, and Drum. This legislation amends the Smoke-Free Air Act to prohibit electronic or e-cigarettes in all areas where combustible cigarettes are currently prohibited. Our administration, as you know, has made great strides in limiting the use of tobacco in public areas and thereby improving the health of all New Yorkers. The United States Food and Drug Administration has stated that they intend to regulate e-cigarettes as tobacco products, and states including New Jersey, North Dakota, and Utah have taken steps to prohibit their use in bars and restaurants. Organizations such as the American Lung Association, American Heart Association, American Cancer Society Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids support this legislation. E-cigarettes cigarettes, you may know, heat up a chemical solution and emit vapors to provide its users with nicotine, the same highly addictive ingredient found in combustible cigarettes. The next generation of potential smokers could gravitate to getting their nicotine fix from these products. This legislation, we think, will help protect the gains we have made to reduce combustible cigarette use in New York City and will serve as an example for other municipalities to follow. And I'd like to thank the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene Commissioner, Dr. Thomas Farley, and his staff for their work on this bill, along with my Office of City Legislative Affairs. I'd also like to thank the City Council for approving this legislation. Tom, you want to say something?
Just want to say the biggest thing that this administration has done in public health has reduced our smoking rates. And there's been nothing more important in reducing our smoking rates than our Smoke-Free Air Act. So this bill addresses an unregulated product of unknown risks that threaten to undermine that extremely important piece of legislation. So it's extremely important that we sign this one. Thanks very much.
Anybody in the City Council?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, this is I think the perfect complement to everything that this wonderful administration has done to cut back on smoking, to increase the life expectancy of all New Yorkers. And we just did the 21 bill, and now we're doing this, and I think it's a perfect complement. You might hear people talk about these devices being used for cessation. Let us not forget that the e-cigarette makers sued the FDA, who wanted to regulate them as a tobacco cessation product, and said, we are not tobacco cessation. We are not about that. We want to be regulated as tobacco. And they sued the FDA, and they won. And so, okay. And in terms of their safety, you open up any pack of e-cigarettes, and you open that, you look at the label in there, and it says this is highly toxic upon inhalation, and also highly addictive. So that's what's coming out of the thing. And so by doing this, if you work in an office and there's 20 cubicles and 10 people, want to smoke these cigarettes, they're not going to be able to, so you won't have to breathe that nicotine. And so this is, we just had a study came out in the last week from the World Health Organization that urges every jurisdiction, every local jurisdiction in the world to regulate these devices just like tobacco. And so that's what we're doing here. And I thank you in a special way, Mr. Mayor, for being a great partner in all the things you've done to increase the health of New Yorkers, increase the lifespan of New Yorkers. A couple of bill signings ago, I said that people use the expression, I may stutter on this, but it's L'chaim, it means, to life. Many people say it, but this mayor actually does something about that. So, L'chaim, Mr. Mayor, thank you very much.
For those of you who don't know, L'chaim is something in Gaelic. We have 3 people who've signed up for this. If you'd come up and introduce yourself as you get up here. Karen Blumenfield, Philip Kogsberg, and Audrey Silk. So just in order, and just please identify yourself. Go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. Karen Blumenfeld, Global Advisors on Smoke-Free Policy. I've been involved in tobacco control professionally now for over 23 years, and quite frankly, this is one of the most important milestones in tobacco control, not only in New York City, the state, the country, but the world. There is ample study results that have come through in the last year to substantiate the health concerns about the exposure of secondhand vapor smoke to people. And so we're very pleased that the city has extended the traditional smoking ban to these products as well. We have great news from Boston today. The Boston Parks Commission voted in favor of their city council's e-cigarette ban in their parks. They already banned e-cigarette use in workplaces and public places, and today it's also going to be included in their parks starting in 2014. And a big shout out and thank you, of course, to Councilman Gennaro for your vision and your tenacity on this bill and making this happen. And of course, Mayor Bloomberg, your leadership on tobacco control initiatives over the course of your tenure here has been absolutely phenomenal and has really set the standard for other governing bodies across the world. And we so appreciate that. And we're very enthusiastic that you'll be continuing that through your foundation and through your consulting firm. Thank you.
Thank you. Phil Konigsberg.
Yes, my name is Phil Konigsberg. I'm in Bay Terrace, Queens. A couple of weeks ago, I was here for the Tobacco 21 bill, and I considered you then, and I consider you now one of my heroes. For all the work you've done, I am in favor of this bill, and you have congratulated and spoke about your commissioners here before, and I would like to ask everyone here to join me in applauding you for your 12 years of superb effort to help our public health. And and City Councilman Gennaro, who's been at the top of all these bills, and the other city councils. So please join me. And with the few seconds I have left, as I'm part of the Queens Tobacco Control Coalition, I know you're no longer going to be operating out of this house, but we welcome you to our house. If you have any time to join us, we certainly can use your help. Thank you.
Thank you. For the record, I did not pay him $5 to ask for a round of applause, although it did bring to mind Al Gore's famous line. I've seen him a number of times when he gives a speech to an audience standing at a reception or something. He always says, "Thank you for the standing ovation." Audrey Silk. Audrey?
Yes, thank you. I'm Audrey Silk, the founder of New York City Citizens Lobbying Against Smoker Harassment, or CLASH. We argued in 2002 that the rationale for the ban protecting non-smokers was a fraud built on junk science, a tool to control smokers not smoke. At the October 2002 hearing, you, Mr. Equality, protested, "This bill is not designed to stop you from smoking," followed by, "If you want to smoke, that's your right, and I will defend that." To this day, on the Department of Health's website, the FAQ answer to the question, "This is America, don't citizens have a right to smoke even if it hurts them?" The answer, yes, smokers are free to continue to smoke, and primary smoking itself acceptable. Now we have you adding devices with no smoke to what's called the Smoke-Free Air Act. Though discussed secondarily, there's ultimately not one written word about exposure contained in the bill under legislative intent. All four officially documented reasons are that smoking is indefensible and unacceptable, that even the thought of it must be censored, and intends to codify that intolerance into an act we were told was not designed to do that. It's really been no secret that you'd lied earlier, but there's surely you can keep your health insurance period moment. With the addition of E6 to the Act, we have the most concrete proof that it's never been about the smoke. It's about hating someone else's choice and the imposition of dear leaders' religion on everyone else. In order to denormalize not just smoking, but people who smoke, help by once calling yourself superior as a reformed smoker and calling smokers crazy and stupid, you've had to denormalize civil liberties. You have shown nothing but disrespect and contempt for not just the choice to smoke, but for individual decision-making itself. This is legal private life, not public health. You don't own me like state property. Today in the building, my taxes equally fund, and as a final image in your reign that couldn't be more antithetical to the legacy you desperately want depicted, I return the respect. Good people disobey bad laws.
Okay. Audrey. Okay, thank you. We just don't permit smoking in the public buildings, so appreciate your comments. Would anybody else like to add anything?
I'd like to see over smoking. I'd like the press to understand that over lighting a cigarette that millions of people have done, I was kind of mauled.
I think it's time to leave. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So long.
12 years is enough.
No, that's all right. Would anybody else like to add anything?
Hey, Bloomberg, can I add something?
Yeah, sure.
Well, I wasn't. My name is Robert Jackson. I'm a member of the City Council, and I was not going to speak on this particular matter. But in listening to the previous speaker speak, yes, it's her right to smoke, but we passed a law. And myself, I don't smoke. No one in my immediate family smoke, and I don't like to see government infringe on people's rights. But the bottom line is that I supported the bills to pass the bills, no smoking in restaurants and parks and what have you. And initially, I was against this electric cigarettes. But I watched a hearing where they were smoking these electronic cigarettes in the hearing room. And you could see all of the smoke going up in the air. And then, Mayor, we discussed in the Democratic caucus all bills that are coming up for a vote. And the electronic cigarettes were in there, and so I had the opportunity to see them, and I even smoked some, and the smoke went up. And the bottom line is that
I smoke in my face, as I recall.
I agree with this bill that we need a consistent message that smoking is not good for you. And if you want to hurt yourself, you continue to smoke. It's okay. That's your right. But I support this, and I'm glad that you're going to sign it into law. And thank you, Commissioner.
Let me just add a couple of things. So, one, the genesis of the anti-smoking bill in New York City is not to prohibit you from smoking. It is to prohibit you from smoking in the workplace where other people have to choose between their job and their health. So, for example, if you're at an American Legion post where the bartender is a volunteer, you can smoke. If you're in a bar where the bartender is an employee, you cannot. Right. But there's nothing to prohibit you from smoking outside, although there are laws the City Council passed to prohibit you from smoking in parks and on beaches. Yep. The e-cigarette issue is some people argue that it's a ways to help people stop smoking. The FDA has done a lot of studies, as others, and it works about as well as patches, which is to say it really doesn't work. Unfortunately, there's no easy ways to stop smoking other than just making a decision that, the way I phrase it, you want to, that you just have to make that decision. And nobody knows whether or not what's in e-cigarettes is good or bad for you. It hasn't been out long enough to do studies. What is clear is it's a ways to get nicotine in your system, and nicotine is an addictive thing, and the public health experts think you'll go back to regular cigarettes, which clearly we know are, and these may be, detrimental to your health. And life expectancy in New York City is 2.5 years greater than the national average. And 10,000 fewer deaths are because we banned smoking. If nobody has anything else to add, I will sign the bill.
I just want to call my daughter for the bill sign. Hi, daughter.
I may not get a chance to say it before tomorrow. Thank you for so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I know.
I just want to say thank you. I miss you.
Nice to see you. No, you won't. The city will be great.
I'll miss you.
I know it.
Nice. So, what do you do for a living?
They're just like saying, you know what they're saying?
Okay. You still have a long ways to go, and it's interesting. Obesity is tougher because if you smoke, you can hurt yourself. All right. The next bill before us today is introductory number 1056A, sponsored at the request of our administration by Council members DeLon, Comrie, Dickens, Koo, Richards, Rose, Gennaro, Van Bremer, and Halloran. Introductory number 1056A brings the city's building code, plumbing code, mechanical code, fuel gas code, and administrative code up to date with the 2009 additions to the International Building Mechanical, Fuel Gas, and Plumbing Codes. And if you follow all of that, good luck. This legislation culminates more than 3 years of efforts by the public-private partnership that involved more than 250 volunteers representing stakeholders from all aspects of construction, industry, real estate, labor, academia, and government who donated more than 48,000 hours of their time to this bill. This accomplishment would not have been possible without their commitment and expertise. On behalf of the city, I wish to thank them for their service. The revised code incorporates additional safety requirements for high-rise buildings as recommended in the final report on the collapse of World Trade Center towers by the National Institute of Standards and Technology, as well as new requirements for flood-resistant construction. I'd also like to thank Department of Buildings Commissioner Robert Lamandry and his staff, including Assistant Commissioner James Colgate and Executive Director of Code Development Helen Gittleson, along with the Law Department Senior Counsel Olivia Goodman and her staff for their work in this bill, along with my Office of City Legislative Affairs and the City Council. Would anybody like to say, Commissioner? Sure. Hang on. All yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Robert Lamandry. I'm the Commissioner of Buildings. I just want to thank you for your support, Speaker Quinn and Chair DeLon. This is a landmark in that we are revising the code and we're not taking 40 years to do it. We're doing it on a regular basis, and without the support of not only the council but of all of the volunteers as part of the process has made it a very quick and easy task. And thank you very much.
Anybody else? Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say that it's been a pleasure working with you over the past 12 years, and it's my honor to be here for the final time. I want to thank Commissioner Lamandry. It was a pleasure working with you as the chairperson of Housing and Buildings, and working with you as the building commissioner. You have a great staff and a great team of people, and really know how to use outside practitioners to make the city great, and I believe that's what this document that the mayor is about to sign does. With that, I just leave it there. It's just been a great experience, and I've enjoyed every minute. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. The only one signed up, Charles Joyce, ACEC, New York.
Thank you. On behalf of the American Council of Engineering Companies of New York, I would like to thank all of the parties responsible for their tireless efforts over the years updating New York City's construction codes. In particular, I would like to thank Mayor Bloomberg, the Department of Buildings Technical Code Committees, and the Managing Committee, which is composed of representatives from all sectors of industry and government, City Council Speaker Christine Quinn, and the members of the City Council Committee on Housing and Buildings, particularly Chairman Eric DeLon and his staff. As chair of the ACEC New York Fire Codes Committee, I am here today to testify in support of Intro 1056A. Founded in New York City in 1921, ACEC New York is one of the oldest continuing organizations of professional consulting engineers in the U.S. We represent over 220 engineering firms throughout New York State that collectively employ more than 20,000 people statewide, with a concentrated presence of firms located in New York City. ACEC New York and its members have a long history of working with the city and other stakeholders on the building codes. Between September 2011 and May 2013, over 50 of our members donated thousands of hours chairing and/or serving on the city's technical committees to update the codes as reflected in the original intro. Then, after Superstorm Sandy, 18 of our members were invited to serve on the Building Resiliency Task Force, and as their recommendations were drafted into law, the ACEC New York Code Committees provided additional technical support to the staffs of the City Council and Department of Buildings. A number of the resiliency bills are deemed to take effect when Intro 1056 takes effect. This intro will allow design professionals to practice the most current standards for safety, sustainability, and resiliency. New York has historically struggled to keep up with national best practices for construction codes. ACEC New York will continue to work with the Mayor's Office, the Department of Buildings, and the New York City Council to ensure that future updates reflect the on-the-ground issues encountered by our engineers, architects, and builders every day, as well as best practices for safety and sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? If not, I will be happy to sign the bill.
It's a real
Okay.
Anyone who's not here for the rest of the bill, Everyone, please come in so we can start.
Just going to seem like it. Our next bill today is introductory number 1174A, sponsored the request of our administration by council members Crowley, Koo, Capel, Van Bremer, Jackson, Gennaro, and Halloran. This legislation represents the culmination of a 2-year fire code revision process, the results of which will enhance our city's emergency preparedness and address other critical fire safety issues. These fire code amendments affect a wide range of fire safety enhancements, including a comprehensive and innovative revision of the code's emergency planning and preparedness requirements that tailors those provisions to the size, staffing, and needs of each type building or occupancy. Measures designed to accommodate green roofs, solar panel installations, and hydrogen-powered vehicles, amendments related to rooftop access, fire apparatus access, and fire emergency markings that will facilitate firefighting operations and promote firefighter safety, provisions that better regulate construction site safety, and fire prevention measures relating to portable electric space heaters, halogen lamps, and residential building hallways. These fire code amendments will enhance public safety and firefighting operations while minimizing the burden of regulation on property owners and businesses throughout the city. And I'd like to thank the Fire Department Commissioner Salvador Casano and his staff, including General Counsel Julianne Basil, who's with us today, and Director of Code Revisions James Hansen for their work on this bill, and my Office of Legislative Affairs and the City Council. Would you like to say something?
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor Bloomberg, Speaker Quinn, members of the council, and all the participants in our code revision process. The code revision is not one of those glamorous issues. It doesn't get a lot of attention, but it is really a signal accomplishment of this administration and this council in that it keeps the buildings, the building code, the fire code, and the other public safety codes current, allows us to address important public safety issues as they evolve, and is just a way to adopt sensible regulations that protect the public and do so in a way that doesn't impact on businesses in a negative way. And I want to thank everyone involved in the process.
Thank you. I'd just like to point out that the fire department's first job, people always say they're the first responders, they and the police department. I like to think of them as the first preventers, because it would just be wonderful if they sat in the firehouse all the time and never had to go out on a run. Firefighting is dangerous, and they save a lot of lives, but there's also a lot of deaths, fortunately a lot fewer than they used to be, from fires. And so if we can get people to build their structures such that fire doesn't spread or doesn't start, people build their structures and put with the warning devices in them so that if there is a fire, people know about it and can get out, and firefighters can get in, and all of that sort of stuff, we'd be a lot better off. And this goes in that direction. Would anybody else like to add anything? If not, I'd be happy to sign the bill. The next bill before us today will modernize the record-keeping practices of pawnbrokers and certain second-hand dealers in the city so that records they are already required to keep may be more readily available for review by the Police Department and the Department of Consumer Affairs. Introductory number 1177A is sponsored at the request of our administration by Council members Garodnick, Chin, Koo, Capel, Gennaro, Van Bremer, Greenfield, and Halloran. Pawnbrokers and second-hand dealers are required to keep dated records of their transactions, which are currently kept in what are called police books, that are routinely reviewed by the NYPD and the Department of Consumer Affairs in administrative inspections. This legislation updates this requirement for pawnbrokers and for certain second-hand dealers, those dealing in electronics and precious metals, to also maintain some of these records electronically. Introductory number 1177A builds upon a program that the NYPD has conducted on a voluntary basis for 4 years, in which businesses upload information about their transactions to a secured electronic data service. The transaction information includes serial numbers and other identifying information about the property. This data is cross-referenced against complaints of stolen property as soon as the transaction is uploaded, and these searches have already resulted in hundreds of investigative leads, leading to recovery of property and the rest of the thieves. By requiring these businesses to electronically upload identifying information about the property, including a new requirement of providing digital photos, the bill creates consistency in record keeping and allows the businesses to assist more easily and more productively in fighting against the theft of electronics and jewelry. This bill also improves the paper record keeping required of used car dealers by requirement they include additional information in their record of sale, such as the VIN number of the sale. And I would like to thank Police Commissioner Ray Kelly, Assistant Commissioners Susan Petito, Sergeant Juan Duque of the NYPD's Operations Command, DCA Commissioner Jonathan Mintz, and their staff for their work on this bill, along with my Office of City Legislative Affairs and the City Council. Would anyone like to speak? We're joined by another City Councilwoman. Do you want to say anything? No. Good. Anybody out there want to say anything? It's a good bill. The next two bills before us today address the Sidewalk Cafe licensing process and were developed through the Regulatory Review Initiative, a partnership between the administration and the council has worked to make complying with government regulations simpler, faster, and easier. The process of obtaining permission to operate a sidewalk cafe is a lengthy and complicated one involving multiple agencies, numerous hearings, and confusing requirements. Significant improvements have been made since 2002 to reduce the number of agencies and the amount of time involved in the process. These bills will streamline the process even further while balancing the goals of providing prompt service to businesses while offering opportunities for community input and allowing the city to provide proper oversight. Introductory number 876A is sponsored by Council members Garodnick, Brewer, Comrie, Gentili, James Koo, Recchia, Williams, Wills, Gennaro, and Van Bremer. This legislation extends the term of a renewal sidewalk cafe revocable consent from one license term to 2 license terms, allowing businesses more time between applications. It will also ensure that a business owner who complies with the law and properly applies to renew a sidewalk cafe application will not be given violations if the renewal process takes longer than expected. Introductory number 1039A is sponsored by Council members Reyna, Koo, Gennaro, Vallone, and Van Bremer. This legislation enables the Department of Community Affairs, DCA, to shorten the approval process by waiving its hearing, but also gives them the flexibility to extend its review of an application where a business needs additional time to comply with requirements. It also allows the Mayor's Office of Contract Services to waive requirements for its approval, further shortening the overall process. And I would like to thank the Department of Consumer Affairs Commissioner Jonathan Mintz and his staff, along with Adira Simon and our new business acceleration team for their work on these bills and Office of City Legislative Affairs. Would anybody like to say anything? Anybody from the audience? If not, I will sign the bill.
John talking politics.
Okay. The next bill before us today is introductory number 1160A, sponsored by Council members Gennaro, Fidler, Koo, Richards, Rodriguez, Vallone, Capel, Van Bremer, Greenfield, and Jackson. This legislation aims to reduce the emissions of pollutants from heavy-duty trade waste hauling vehicles. Businesses that are authorized by the Business Integrity Commission to provide trade waste removal services to commercial businesses maintain a large heavy-duty diesel truck fleet. These trucks are found across every city neighborhood and routinely expose residents to particulate matter and nitrogen oxide emissions at the street level. These pollutants are contributors to negative health impacts, including asthma, respiratory, and cardiovascular harm. Trucks with engines after 2007 produce roughly 90% fewer emissions than the earlier trucks. This was a driving reason why our administration is requiring that city-owned heavy-duty vehicles use only post-2007 engines by 2017. This legislation requires that beginning January 1st, 2020, all heavy-duty trade waste hauling vehicles authorized by the Business Integrity Commission utilize the best available retrofit technology or be equipped with an engine that meets the 2007 EPA engine standard. The best available retrofit technology will be set by the BIC Commissioner. BIC is the Business Integrity Commission Commissioner, at least 18 months in advance to give the industry enough time to determine how best to reduce their truck emissions. And I'd like to thank Business Integrity Commissioner Sherry Hyman, Chief Executive Officer Jay Karam, and their staff for the work on this bill, along with the Office of City Legislative Affairs. Sherry, you want to start?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to thank you for your leadership, the Speaker and Councilmember Gennaro for helping us with this bill, also Carter Strickland. Thank you very much for your support in allowing us to proceed with this bill. And we're very excited that this bill will allow the reduction of emissions for the commercial waste hauling fleet. We feel that this is a landmark achievement under your administration, and I thank you for this.
Sure, thank you. Carter?
Yes, thank you. I want to take this opportunity to thank the mayor, thank you, and also the council for a tremendous run in the clean air area. This is an area where many people think that the only action that matters is that taken at the state and federal level. That's not true, and I think together the city has shown that you can think globally and act locally. And in fact, the strides made on air with clean heating fuels, retrofitting the fleet, and other local measures have tremendously improved public health for our children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. So thank you very much for your leadership.
Anybody else? Yeah, sure. No, go ahead. Come in 1 second. Full rank.
Okay. Jim, he's also Jim. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's been a real honor. I just want to echo some of what Carter said. Recently, when you announced that the air is the cleanest this has been in the last 50 years, that didn't happen by accident. And everything that you've done with your administration and having the partnership that you've had with the council, I want to thank Speaker Quinn, and of course, I want to thank you, Mr. Mayor. And Carter has just been a real champion when it comes to clean air, and just been a great steward of DEP, and he came from the Office of Long-Term Planning and Sustainability and really got that office into a good place. And there are still some elements of the air code that I will commend to the next administration, next council to kind of finish up. But this was like the big centerpiece of it, and we did get this done. I want to thank Jim Tripp, who's going to speak in a minute, for all the work that he did on. And, of course, Commissioner Hyman, thank you for working with BIC and with the people in the trade waste industry to get them to do this. It wasn't easy to get all these negotiations done. Speaking of these, the very good negotiations got, I want to thank Margaret Nelson from the council who's here, Samara Swanston who's here, Laura Poper is here. I know Jeff Baker had a lot to do with this. I don't see him here, but he was terrific. And Rob Newman. We also work with the environmental community. We have Cecil Corbin-Mark from We Act. They're a great organization. They gave me an award a couple of years ago. They were wonderful. And so, but he's a great guy, and he was very, very involved in this, and it was just great to get the stamp of We Act on this. I would have said this even if you didn't give me the award. It was really great. Yeah, so this is really terrific, and a lot of hard work, and it was very last minute. Getting everything done so we can get it done. But we did not, spare quality for the pace, the way things. So we got something very, very excellent. No one should think that we skimmed here. It's an excellent bill, and when you look at the private sector waste fleet, and you look at our fleet, the city fleet, it's so much cleaner, our fleet, and it's time to get the privates who are putting up very big numbers to be more clean, and they're willing to work with us. This all happened in discussion because this is my last time up here, and it's just part of what you get with me. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Jim?
My name is James Tripp. I'm senior counsel at the Environmental Defense Fund. EDF, Mr. Mayor, worked with you and many of the other people here very closely in the Clean Heat campaign. And this is another major initiative that will have significant impacts in particulate levels in the city. This bill covers 2 fleets of vehicles, private car to commercial and construction and demolition debris trucks. Each has about 4,000 trucks. They constitute 20% of the heavy-duty truck fleet that operates in New York City. As you mentioned, when they all comply with the EPA 2007 heavy-duty diesel truck standard, emission standard for particulates, their particulate emissions should come down 90% or more. So this is very exciting, particularly for parts of the city where waste transfer stations are concentrated. In addition to you, Mr. Mayor, for your phenomenal leadership over the last 12 years, I want to thank Sherry, of course, particularly her deputy, Jay, who is the real driving force in this bill from my personal point of view, Carter Strickland, whom I've known for many years, Jim Gennaro, whom I've known for probably 20 years, Samara Swanson, who is terrific. It's really great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anybody else like to add anything? If not, I'll sign the bill. The other place we should work on is ship. Come forward, please. In the ocean, the heavy, enormous quantity of pollutants put in the air. Next bill before us today is introductory number 1213A, sponsored by council members Rainier, Brewer, Dickens, Chin, Eugenie King, Koo, Mendez, Rose, Wills, Gennaro, Fallon, Van Bremer, Greenfield, and Jackson. Local Law 35 of 2013 required the Mayor's Office of Operations to conduct an analysis of the rules and regulations of several city agencies and issue a report identifying opportunities to provide businesses, individuals, and property owners with cure periods rather than violations. Introductory number 1213A codifies a number of recommendations from this report, and I'd like to thank Emily Newman, the Acting Director of the Office of Operations, and her staff for their work on this bill, along with my City Office of Legislative Affairs. Anybody want to have anything to say here? If not, I'll be happy to sign the bill. For those of you who joined us late, we have a demand for pens exceeding the supply. So we're trying to, city council people get one pen no matter how many bills the names are on. Baseline. We're halfway through? 11? Yes. Next bill before us today is introductory, and that's gives us a lot of good thoughts. Thank you. Next bill before us today is introductory number 1186. Sponsored the request of our administration by Council members Recchia and Koo. The legislation establishes the Hudson Yards Business Improvement District. The city currently has 68 bids, which are voluntarily formed community organizations that promote business development, improve the quality of life in neighborhoods across the city. Established by local law, bids are self-funded by local property owners and overseen by the city's Department of Small Business Services. Business improvement districts provide a variety of services, including sanitation, security, marketing, and landscaping. The services provided to the community are essential to ensuring that small businesses and the neighborhoods in which they operate attract even more business owners and visitors and residents. Hudson Yards will bring our bid total to 69 and our 25th from our administration. Hudson Yards is located on the far west side of Manhattan and is bounded by 42nd Street to the north, 11th Avenue to the west, 9th Avenue to the east, and West 30th Street to the south. The district represents portions of 26 blocks and has 1,164 tax lots. The budget for the first year of operations is $1.2 million, with the maximum annual thereafter to operate the bid being up to $3 million. And I'd like to thank Department of Small Business Services Commissioner Rob Walsh and his staff for their work on this bill, along with my City Office of Legislative Affairs and the City Council. Commissioner, would you like to say something? There you are.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to say thank you. 12 years ago, you said to re-energize the bids, and that's exactly what we did. We created 25 bids. 20 of them have been outside of Manhattan, in a lot of those commercial quarters that have mom-and-pop shops. As evidenced by the Hudson Yards, what you're seeing now in this city is bids being created not just for safe and clean, but to create new neighborhoods. And Hudson Yards is going to be a powerful, new, creative neighborhood. Open space, new buildings, retail, shops, restaurants, the whole bit. And I want to say a special thanks to Assistant Commissioner James Metham, who led the way on this, and the staff. I see Michael Malamud with his daughter, who's taking some pictures on this. And I want to congratulate them. They're a terrific staff, and a lot of the work that they did out in the ground has made a big difference. Thank you, Mayor.
Council people? Nothing? Joshua Bernstein co-chairs Hudson Yards Hell's Kitchen Alliance. Joshua?
Thank you, Your Honor. My name's Joshua Bernstein. I'm one of the co-chairs of the steering committee for the Hudson Yards Hell's Kitchen Alliance, a board member of the Glass Farmhouse Condominium and a long-term resident of the Hudson Yards neighborhood. About a year and a half ago, commercial and residential property owners, tenants, nonprofits, and community organizations came together to articulate a shared vision for the changing Hudson Yards neighborhood. Today, with the creation of a new business improvement district, we begin to implement that vision. The new bid will empower local businesses to compete, provide for the maintenance of a newly constructed park, and begin to address longstanding issues of traffic, congestion, and pedestrian safety. Unlike bids in purely business districts, residents will have a meaningful voice in establishing bid priorities and ensuring that the neighborhood retains its distinctive character. Our thanks go to His Honor Mayor Bloomberg, Speaker Quinn, Commissioner Walsh, and the dedicated staff of the Small Business Services. Thank you.
You're welcome. Would anybody like to add anything? If not, I'll sign the bill.
Tanisha. Come on. Yeah, Tanisha.
Bring it back.
The next two bills before us address the city's budget. Introductory number 1228 is sponsored at the request of our administration by Council Members Recchi and Koo. Introductory number 1228 extends the date for the submission of the primary budget of the City Council to February 12th. Introductory number 1228 also makes corresponding adjustments for other charter-mandated actions required by the preliminary budget process. This action is necessary so that the city can more fully assess its fiscal outlook before submitting the preliminary budget. Introductory number 1204A is sponsored at the request of our administration by Council Members Fidler, Brewer, James, and Jackson. This legislation extends the hotel occupancy tax rate of 5.875% effective December 20th and expiring on December 1st, 2015. By extending the rate, we will prevent the loss of over $25 million in revenue in fiscal year 2014 and over $70 million in fiscal years 2015. Renewing this tax rate of the hotel room occupancy tax will allow the city to preserve a substantial revenue source that is necessary for the city's financial health. And I'd like to thank the Office of Management and Budget and my Office of City Legislative Affairs for work on this bill. Would anybody like to add anything?
Please. If I could, I want to say something off topic first, and that is that a little while ago, Mr. Mayor, you had to endure what I thought was a rather disrespectful display here. And I just wanted to say, and because I am my mother's son, I can't help myself from saying it, that even when we have disagreed, there has not been a day that you didn't have my highest respect, and I think my colleagues' highest degree of respect, and that everybody in this room knows that you were in a place in life 12 years ago, as you are today, as you are in every day in between, to be doing just about anything you wanted with your life, maybe except for Naked Cowboy. I'm not so sure about that.
I think it's copyrighted or...
I know, really, I mean, in all seriousness, I know that you wake up every day trying to do what you think the right thing to do for New Yorkers is, and I just wanted to say that because I thought it needed to be said. It may not have been Kissinger, but it was Sylvia Fidler all the way. And I really do mean that, and I do appreciate everything you've done. On the bill, going back to one of those things that we didn't always agree about. When we first proposed increasing the hotel tax by this modest amount, there was a concern that it would affect tourism in the city of New York. And then I went back and thought about how I planned my vacations and thought about, it's an extra $3 on a $300 hotel room, and would that ever stop me from coming to the greatest city in the world as a tourist? And I think the conclusion was obvious, and it was borne out by the fact that we went from third to first even after this small increase. It has generated about over $250 million, not a penny of which came from New York City taxpayers, which, by the way, I think would entitle me to a second pen, but
we'll get back to you on that.
To me, that is truly sensible tax policy, when you can do something that doesn't hurt business, doesn't cost New Yorkers money, and yet pays for a lot of things. Now, when we were here in October on another bill entirely, I asked you about something that it was extraordinarily important to me, and that was providing shelter beds for young people. And you told me that you'd speak to Mark Page about it. I'd like to think that this completes the circle somehow, that some of this money is in fact going to keep the commitment that you made to make sure that young people do not have to sleep on subway gratings at night. It's certainly a tremendous use of that money. It's $70 million in the budget and more than pays for it. And that's why we do things like this, because nobody likes raising taxes. But this is one that makes sense, and the money, I'm sure, is being used for things that New Yorkers really need. Thank you.
Would anybody like to add anything? Okay.
So, Robert Jackson, City Council member. I'm a member of the Finance Committee and on the budget negotiating team of City Council, and I just want to thank our colleague Lou Fidler, who initiated the hotel tax situation, and overall it's been a very good situation for our city coffers. And as your office has indicated, Mr. Mayor, record tourism, 54 million tourists, and we need to keep our city safe and clean so tourists can come here. But also, I just want to thank the finance staff of the City Council, Tanisha Edwards as the council, to Dominic Recker and the Finance Committee, along with the other staff that are here, for doing a good job with respects to this particular bill and all bills that come in front of the Finance Committee. Thank you.
Would anybody else like to add anything? If not, I'll sign the bill.
Tanisha? 2 bills.
You get a second bill.
The next bill before us today is introductory number 1040A, sponsored by council members Richards, Lander, Wills, Brewer, Chin, Drum, Fiddler, James, Mealy, Mendez, Rose, Vaca, Weprin, Williams, Recchia, Levin, Rania, Van Bremer, Mark Viverito, Gonzalez, Nelson, Eugenie, Garodnik, Dickens, Palma, Barron, Rodriguez, Ulrich, Otto, Arroyo, Ferraris, Jackson, Comrie, Koo, Van, Koslowitz, Vallone, Lappin, and Halloran. This what? I'm sorry. This legislation creates a database to track the expenditure of funds in connection with recovery efforts in the wake of Hurricane Sandy. Although it has been a little over a year since Sandy made its impact on New York City, the recovery efforts are ongoing, and FEMA funds continue to be delivered to the city and its residents. This legislation establishes a web-based tracking system to see where the money is being spent to rebuild and how many people are being employed as a result of these efforts. The Mayor's Office of Data Analytics has developed a website accessible to the public to report and track money spent based on zip code. The website can be found at nyc.gov and click on the NYC Recovery section. And I'd like to thank Deputy Mayor Kaz Holloway, the Mayor's Office of Data Analytics, Chief Analytics Officer Michael Flowers, and their staff for this work on this bill, along with my Office of City Legislative Affairs and the City Council. Would anyone like to speak?
Thank you. Councilmember Donovan Richards. Just want to thank the mayor for being on top of this. I think I've been elected for 9 months and came in obviously after Sandy, but was there during the devastation as someone who represents the Rockaways. And your office has been excellent. They've been in communication with us. They worked very hard to make sure that we are building a more resilient and sustainable city. And I'm just happy. This was actually my first bill that I introduced as a city council member, and I think you've signed at least 3 more of my bills, so we're 4 for 4, which means that we have a better record than the New York Knicks and Brooklyn Nets, obviously. And I endorse you to coach if there are any vacancies there. But want to certainly say thank you to many people here. And listen, $20 billion is going to come through New York City over the next few years, and we want to make sure that we are being held accountable and that the money that's coming through this city is being dealt with in a transparent fashion. So this is what this bill does. I just want to say thank you to a few people, Speaker Quinn, the Office of Analytics, all of the people who worked on the website, Deputy Mayor Cass Holloway, Tanisha Edwards, thank you, Tanisha. Jarrell Burney, who's on my staff, Dominic Recchia, Brad Lander, Natalie from Align, Reggie Thomas, who I saw here, and Margaret Nelson, of course. Thank you, Mayor. Ready to sign.
Anybody else? If not, I'll sign the bill. The next bill before us is introductory on 1159A, sponsored by council members Rania, Brewer, Chin, Dickens, Eugene Gentili, Jackson, James Koo, King, Capel, Mendez, Palmer, Richards, Van, Wills, Rodriguez, Greenfield, Gennaro, and Van Bremer. This legislation requires the city to examine opportunities for veterans to participate in city procurement. Compared to older veterans and the general population of veterans who have served since 2001 are experiencing higher rates of unemployment, a number of states have established veteran procurement goals to ensure the men and women of our armed forces have opportunities to succeed in their entrepreneurial endeavors when they return home. This legislation requires the Department of Small Business Services, in conjunction with the Mayor's Office of Contract Services, to analyze veteran-owned business enterprises in the city and potential opportunities for these businesses to compete for city procurements. A report will be submitted to the City Council on this analysis by December 1st, 2014, and will include a recommendation on whether a citywide veteran procurement program should be established. If a program is recommended, the report will include recommendations on how to structure such a program. And I'd like to thank the Department of Small Business Services, Commissioner Rob Walsh, and the Mayor's Office of Contract Services Director Andrea Glick and their staff for the work on this bill, along with my City Office of Legislative Affairs and the City Council. Anybody like to say anything? City Councilman?
Thank you, Councilmember Inez Dickens. This legislation is very important because it is the beginning. It is the start to stop the fact that our men and women who served in the armed forces, who went to war, an undeclared war, and their small businesses are not getting their fair share of contracts, and whether they're MWBEs or not. So this is the start to find out where the inequity is in this, and will then begin the path in order for them to secure valued and very important contracts and procurement contracts that will allow them to properly feed their families. Thank you, Mayor, for signing on to this. I thank the staff for working very hard on this, and I thank Commissioner Bob Walsh for his input in writing of this legislation.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to add anything? If not, I'll sign the bill. You're entitled to one. The next bill before us today is Introductory N891A, sponsored by Council Members Lando Van Brewer, Chin, Drum, Fiddler, James, Mark Favorito, Mendez, Rose, Van Bremer, Williams, Wills, Gonzalez, Rodriguez, Ferraris, Barron, Jackson, Gennaro, Capel, Greenfield, Lappin, and Halloran. This registration requires the Mayor to submit to the Council, Borough Presidents, and Community Boards an annual report on poverty. The report will describe the city's effort to reduce the rate of poverty in the city as determined by the poverty measure and the poverty threshold established by the Center for Economic Opportunity. And I want to thank Kristen Morse, Executive Director for the city's New York City Center for Economic Opportunity, and staff for the work on this bill, along with the Legislative Affairs. Would anyone like to add anything? No?
So, Mayor, on behalf of the people of New York City that are clearly in need, this is so important for us to determine exactly where the needs are and the details of that. So, on behalf of all of the people in New York City that are in need, this report is going to be very, very helpful, and we thank you and the staff for being involved with it and signing it into law.
Thank you. Anybody else? If not, I'll sign the bill. The next bill before us today is introductory number 193A, sponsored by Council Members Chim, Connery, Fiddler, Recchia, Williams, Rodriguez, Nelson, Mealy, Gennaro, Jackson, Macfavrio, Capel, and Van Bremer. This legislation requires the city to notify the City Council within 15 days of awarding an emergency contract. I'd like to thank the Mayor's Office of Contract Services Director, Andrea Glick, and her staff for work on this bill along with the City Council. Anybody like to add anything? Margaret?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank to all the council staff that work on this bill. It's about transparency, but also enable council to do its oversight and making sure that when the city gets emergency procurement, that they are doing the right thing. Mayor, I also want to take this opportunity to really thank you. And it was a pleasure working with you in my first term. And I remember the first bill signing that I was here at. You disappointed me the first time.
What did I do?
You didn't sign the bill.
Oh,
okay.
Did I sign it eventually?
It was a tour bus bill. You did, but I was not happy, and I didn't come for a long time. And then finally, I came back for the Chinatown bid with my community. So I want to thank you. But it's been a pleasure working
All's
with you.
well that ends well.
Yes. Thank you for your support.
Yeah. Anybody else?
It's like Festivus.
We'll get 2 pens now.
The next bill before us today is introductory number 635A, sponsored by Council members Crowley, Fidler, Gentili, James Capel, Koslowitz, Mealy, Rose, Rivera, Vallone, Gonzalez, Nelson, Mark Viverito, Rodriguez, Van Bremer, Greenfield, Gennaro, Jackson, and Ulrich. This legislation requires that within 3 days after approving a new commuter van service, the Taxi and Limousine Commission shall post on the website the geographic area where the service is being provided, the number of vans authorized to be used. And I'd like to thank TLC Commissioner David Yaski and his staff for the work on this bill, along with my Office of City Legislative Affairs and the City Council. Anybody like to add anything? Audience, sign the bill. The next bill before us today is introductory number 1171A, sponsored by Council members Van Recchia Jr. Barron, Comrie, Jackson, James Koo, Levin, Renya, Richards, Rodriguez, Rose, Capel, and Fidler. This legislation makes changes to the annual tax lien sale. Every year, the Department of Finance conducts a tax lien sale in conjunction with the Departments of Environmental Protection and Housing Preservation and Development. Properties become eligible for the sale if their owners do not pay their property tax, water, or emergency repair charges over a certain period of time. In an effort to get property owners to settle up, city agencies send notices and do extensive outreach. But if the charges remain by the date of the sale, the Finance Department sells a lien on the properties that meets the statutory threshold. The lien is a legal claim against the property for those charges, as well as penalties and interest. Leading up to the 2013 lien sale, the Finance Department collected nearly $250 million from property owners who paid up and, as a result, avoided the sale. It is the city's most important tool for collecting unpaid taxes and charges. Introductory number 1171A requires the Finance Department to post on its website the lien sale exemptions eligibility checklist. This checklist is used by the department to help determine whether a property owner should be exempt from the lien sale because they are eligible for senior citizen, veteran, or disability homeowners property tax exemptions. Though it currently is mailed to the owner of every property in the lien sale, posting it online is a good way to provide additional access to those who need it. For lien sale property owners that are unable to pay the full amount at once, the Department of Finance and Environmental Protection allow owners to enter into installment agreements because the ownership rights to a property are sometimes unclear. Introductory number 1171A requires these agencies to promulgate rules detailing the eligibility requirements for someone applying for an installment agreement if their name is not on the property's deed. deed. Providing this clarity will ensure that eligible property owners will have an easier time entering into payments and agreements, avoiding the lien sale. And I'd like to thank the Department of Finance Commissioner Beth Goldman, Department of Environmental Protection Carter Strickland, and their staff for the work on this bill, along with the City Office of Legislative Affairs and the City Council. Would anybody like to add anything? Commissioner?
Beth Goldman, Commissioner of Finance. I just want to thank you, Mr. Mayor, for this. I want to take the opportunity also to thank the folks that made the bill possible, including your staff in Legislative Affairs, Heda, Patrick Whaley, and Brian Flynn. I'd also like to thank Speaker Quinn, Chairman Recchia, Councilmember Van, and Council Finance staff, Emre Edev, and another shout out to Tanisha Edwards, as well as the fantastic external affairs team at Finance run by Samara Karasik and Eric Munson. In addition to helping to negotiate this legislation, Samara runs an outreach team that works tirelessly to assist property owners in the weeks and months leading up to the lien sale. I'd also like to recognize Sam Bufter, who was the finance wonderkin who ran the 2013 lien sale at the Department of Finance, and I want to recognize his outstanding work. Thank you very much.
How are we doing with the new commissioner as opposed to the old commissioner? I will say I have not heard one complaint since you got into office, so congratulations and thank you for serving. Good luck to you. Would anybody like to add anything? If not, I'll sign the bill.
Thank you.
It's been a busy month.
Very busy.
Next bill before us today is introductory number 1102A, sponsored by Council members Van Bremer Chin, Ferraris, James Koo, Landa Mendez, Palmer Rose, Mark Viverito, Gennaro Capel, and Ulrich. This legislation requires facilities that exist in a special flood hazard area to have a risk management plan that includes a plan to ensure extremely hazardous and regulated toxic substances are located in areas that have been dry flood proofed and are also located on a story that is above the design flood elevation. And I'd like to thank the Department of Environmental Protection Commissioner Carter Strickland and Sergei Manovsky, Executive Director of the Office of Long-Term Planning and Sustainability, and their staff for the work on this bill, along with my Office of City Legislative Affairs and the City Council for improving this legislation. Would anybody like to add anything? Audience? Nope. Longevity. Okay. Next bill before us today is introductory number 1227, sponsored at the request of our administration by Council members Recchia, Chin, and Dickens. This legislation provides health care benefits to the surviving family members of Kalila Rana Raman Singh, a traffic enforcement agent in the Transportation Bureau of the Police Department who was struck and killed tragically by a vehicle while on duty in Midtown Manhattan on November 30th. Every day, traffic enforcement agents play a critical role in making sure millions of Americans get safely to where they are going. And on behalf of the entire city of New York, our thoughts and prayers are with the Rana Singh family. You know, these are dangerous jobs. You don't think about a lot of them as dangerous jobs, but they are. And the city is, thank goodness, there are people willing to serve. Sometimes, tragically, accidents happen. Looking back, it's, you know, I've tried to call everybody who's died, a family of everybody who's died in the line of duty. I got another one today. It's still some we have having trouble finding next of kin. But we are all better off because people work in the city and run risks all the time. And being out there on the streets of our city with cars whizzing by and trucks and buses and whatever, it is dangerous. And sadly, in this case, God was not with us, and we lost somebody who was a valued employee of the city. And I just want to make sure people understand that, even if you can't remember the names, just to know that there are people who constantly make sacrifices for the rest of us is important. Would anybody like to add anything? If not, I will add. I will sign the bill. And the final bill before us today, this is number 22, just if you're counting. Final bill before us today is introductory number 1217, sponsored by Council members Dickens, Gonzalez, Jackson, Nelson, Mark, Viverito, and King. This legislation renames 6 thoroughfares and public places throughout the city. The first name I read is in honor of a police officer who died in the line of duty in service to our city, Captain Dennis Morales Way in Brooklyn. The next 5 names represents persons who are being honored with a street renaming, and while it's not possible to give a detailed description on each person, each council member who submitted a name did present a detailed justification of this honor. Hermanina Rose Street in Manhattan, Subi Weedy Way in Brooklyn, Pat Jones Way in Manhattan, John E. Nickus Way in Brooklyn, and Ariel Russo Place, 4 years old, in Manhattan. And I would like to return speaker. Anybody want to say anything? Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. Hermina Rowe was not a mover and shaker in the traditional meaning, yet she moved and shook an entire community, the village of Harlem. Raising 9 children during a time that the city, and particularly Harlem, was ravaged with crime, drugs, and abandoned buildings was extremely difficult. Yet, as happens with large families, they become extended with friends and neighborhood youth, seeking solace, a morsel of food, support, and love. This was Mama Rowe. She embraced all and turned away none. Her patient, caring, calm, and steady with love demeanor literally brought hundreds of Harlem youth to her breast. There are many who today stand on her shoulders and many more who learned life's most valuable lessons. Today, Mayor Bloomberg signs a bill to add the name of Hermina Rowe to 122nd Street and Adam Clayton Powell Boulevard. It is also special for the family that today is Hermina Rowe's birthday. But there is no more poignant reason for this renaming than at this block than that Mama Rowe's daughter, one of her daughters, Jackie, lost her son at that very street corner to street violence. Today, we add the name of Hermina Rowe as a beacon of light that hopefully never again will another mother suffer the devastating loss of a child. I want to take this opportunity to thank Mayor Bloomberg. I want to thank particularly Speaker Christine Quinn for making this happen. But as a footnote, this is one of the, if not the last, bill signings for Mayor Bloomberg. We have not, Mr. Mayor, always agreed on policy.
You have a right to be wrong, and I've always defended you.
I have a right to be wrong, and when I caught you, I made you right again. And the path to success for New York City was always our goal. And your door was always open. So I want to say thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have had a proud 8 years of serving in the council as the only black woman in leadership in the history of the council, and having you as the mayor of New York City. So thank you.
So, Robert Jackson, member of the City Council. I'm here to give a little details about Pat Jones, Patricia Arlene Jones. She passed away on November 16, 2012, at the age of 59. But Pat was a tireless community servant who served on local community board 9 and was elected vice chair in 2001 and was then elected chair twice in 2008 and thereafter. And also she chaired the 197A committee and helped to get passed the 197A plan by the City Council. But also, Pat was instrumentally involved in the $150 million community benefits agreement between the West Harlem Local Development Corp. And Columbia University. Subsequently, she chaired the West Harlem Local Development Corp. But Pat was always working so hard in order to try to represent the people. Very, very humble, always not yelling and screaming like some of us, like sometimes myself. But she also chaired the rezoning task force and was appointed at the Board of Directors for the Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone. And Pat was also the treasurer of the Hamilton Heights West Harlem Community Preservation Organization, but also she opened her home and was the chair of the annual House and Garden Tour Committee. She owned a brownstone right across from Convent Avenue Baptist Church. And she leaves to, her mother is here, Darlene Clark Jones, and members of the community board. And Pat's philosophy was described in 3 words: leadership, leverage, and loyalty. And the family, on an obituary in which, in fact, I had it here, Mayor, there's a picture of you, myself, and Pat at Harlem Week in 2005. But the family said that our precious Tricia, you will always live in our hearts forever, your loving family. And now we will have a street co-naming on 144th Street between Convent Avenue and Hamilton Terrace right there in honor of Pat Jones. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. I certainly wish to be associated with their remarks, Councilmember Councilmember Jackson and Councilmember Dickens. I tried to say both names at once. Didn't come out. And I just want to take this opportunity, this last bill, just to thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the great partnership that we've had and we've had with the council. To my chief of staff, David Troyce, who's served me loyally for so many years, I'm just really grateful to have you with me on, and 31 years in city government, and tomorrow's it. And I want to thank your intergovernmental staff, Patrick, who was a great student of mine at Queens College, and Hada and Al and everyone, Reggie, and all the great work that they've done in partnership with you. And I just and on behalf of my family and my colleagues, we have a little presentation for you after this bill is signed, if you would indulge us. Thank you all very much. God bless you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, Jackie.
The family, did they sign up already? Did you sign? Did you sign up to speak?
Anybody who wants to speak, we can.
Oh, I thought they signed up already.
No, nobody signed up.
I'd asked them to sign up. Yeah, they're going to speak.
Good afternoon. I speak on behalf of the Rowe family, and it is 25 of us here today. Not only was Hermina a mother of 9 children, which we are all still living, and they are all here today except one, he's in the hospital. But Hermina Rowe was a mother of the whole community of 122nd, 121st, 123rd. Hermina Rowe was a mother of education. When they needed education, Hermina was there. When they needed food, with her having 9 kids, she fed the whole community. Not only was Hermina Rowe a mother, but she was a lady that believed in the politics. She taught us to go out and slide flyers under the door and get people like Percy Sutton, Mayor David Dinkins, all elected officials, Charlie Rango. And that's why I stand here before you today, proud to say my mother was a woman of caliber and cared about all the kids, more so sometimes than her kids. So that's why I am proud to say 54 years we've been in one church on 122nd Street on that corner for 5 years. And before my mother died, my son got killed. As some of you know, I lost 2 sons to gun violence. It's a man though. My mother saw my first son get killed right on the stoop of 122nd 122nd Street. When they looked out the window, that's how they caught the killer. And so when I go in 122nd Street now, with the pain in my heart every day knowing my son got killed there, now the pain will lead to joy. Looking up on 122nd Street corner saying, Hermina Rowe, you did it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you, Inez Dickens, for your leadership, Councilwoman. Christine Quinn, I wish she was here. I want to thank her. I want to thank everyone that worked on this. I want to thank all my family. Please stand. There's so many of them, the grandkids, the great-grands. Mayor Bloomberg, I want you to continue to fight on gun violence. I am with you. My family is with you. You have led the way. I am so proud of you. Every time I hear something good that you have done with gun violence, I said, that's it. That's it. I've always applauded you. Keep up the fight, whatever you do. We can't bring our children back, but we can certainly continue with prevention and education with your leadership. And I know you're going to still do it. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you. They've just let me just say, thank you. I don't think anybody can put themselves in the situation of a parent who has lost a child, and hopefully most of us never will have to do that. Guns are a scourge in our society. We're going to announce this year we had the lowest number of murders we've ever had. It'll be a little over 330 murders, down from the highest the city ever had was, I think, 2,245. Nobody ever thought we could get here, but we still have a long ways to go. And I make no apologies for this. There's 9,000-odd kids, mostly kids of color, mostly male kids of color, mostly young males of color, who would have been dead if we didn't bring the crime rate down. And when I came into office, everybody said, oh, crime's way down. You probably can't do any more than that. Well, we did, and I hope the next administration is very tough on crime. And you know, there's just no secrets here about how to get guns out of the hands of kids. Kids that have guns use the guns, unfortunately, and it's just a terrible thing for our society. So our prayers are with your son, and thank you. And your mother must be very proud. 9 kids. I don't know I've had a tough time with 2. All right, next.
My name is Cecil Corbin Mark, and I had the distinct pleasure of being both a neighbor for many, many years to Pat Jones, as well as serving as the treasurer of the West Harlem Local Development Corporation alongside her. Pat, as you've heard from Councilmember Jackson, was one of those not loud-spoken leaders, but you always knew when Pat was about getting down to business. She would take her paper clip and unfold it, and then fold it back. And when she was finished folding it back, you better have been finished with whatever you had to say and ready to be getting down to business. Pat, like Frederick Douglass, used the North Star as her compass. For Pat, the North Star was the people of the West Harlem community. And she listened tirelessly through many meetings as we set out to figure out what kinds of community benefits the community wanted as we tried to negotiate the best community benefits agreement for the West Harlem community. We all owe her a debt of gratitude for her leadership, for her strength, and for her tireless commitment. She was also a fan of The Godfather. And I like to end by saying that Pat made an offer that we could not refuse. That was her leadership. I want to thank the mayor for his efforts in bringing about a resolution to the community benefits agreement and the Columbia University expansion. Your administration was of great help, and we thank you for that. And I certainly want to honor and thank Councilmember Jackson for his years of leadership as our council member. Without him, there would not have been any seed money and any real leadership at the very beginning for the West Harlem Local Development Corporation to get off the ground. We thank you for that. I know that Pat's mom is indeed very proud of this moment. She had a lifetime of proud moments, but we are thankful she's able to share this day with us. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ron Stennett. I have the pleasure of being vice chair under the leadership of Pat Jones. And I was sitting here trying to think of what I was going to say, and then I looked at the mayor. And it really dawned on me that she had many of your characteristics. She was no nonsense. When she saw that business needed to be taken care of, she did it without bringing the emotions into the room, but the thought of the people and what was right and what was just. And she did just that. And I want to really lift up her mother, because I think most of us don't give credit to the people that brought us into this world and to the shoulders upon which we stand. And her mother is a very strong woman who taught her and taught Pat to be courageous, and she most certainly was. And I think on behalf of the other members of Community Board 9, I definitely want to say thank you to Councilman Jackson, who shepherded this signing through. We appreciate you very much, and thank you for your leadership, Mayor Bloomberg, throughout your 12 years, and Godspeed to you for the rest of your life.
Well, thank you. I think the best days for the city are yet to come, but we have done an amazing amount, and we have a long ways to go. But we should not forget those people, strong people, who made a sacrifice like Pat did. So, anybody else?
I just want to say happy birthday to my mother was busy. Birthday and sister birthday. Happy birthday, sister.
Happy birthday. Well, this is going to be the 883rd bill that I signed. Do we know what the first bill was?
Yes, Phil Reed. May he rest in peace.
Wow.
It put the stickers on fruit.
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
Really?
Wow. It's been a lot of bills, but the city is better off because of what this legislature, the city council has done. The two speakers, Gifford Miller and Christine Quinn, and all of the members. And I think it's been a wonderful time for city government, and I think we all owe a debt of gratitude for everybody that's created such a strong hand for the next administration to play, and hopefully they'll do a great job. Thank you.
Family members?
Down in front. That's it. That's all she wrote. Very good, very good.
Thank you.